Hey everybody, sorry we had weird audio problems, but we're back and hopefully it's going to work this time. I am with Tony Hostetler, who is with Hoosier Action. He's the lead organizer for the Care Not Cuffs chapter. And Hoosier Action is a really amazing organization that I know just a tiny bit about. And I want to find out a lot more why Tony does this job. He has his own personal, amazing, uplifting story. And maybe this might be an organization you want to get involved in, or you want to attend a Hoosier Action event, which I've been to one. So find out about this great place. And thank you for joining us. Tony, thanks for being here. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you, Sarah. Thanks for having me on. What a pleasure.
It's been a journey with our tech problems, huh?
Yeah, we made it. We got it through it.
It's still working. So,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I just restarted my computer after we tried 100 other things.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Tony, were you at this event? I went to an event for Hoosier Action a couple month or so before the election. I don't know, it was in the fall of 2024 and it was in Scott County.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go to that event?
I closed out the event.
So I went to that. That was really the first time I saw Hoosier Action. So I was invited. I got an email saying, would you like to do this? Because I ran for State House in my district. And I said yes. And so I went, and there were several hundred people there. And different people came up and spoke about different issues. And then there were some elected officials there, and they spoke. And I cried like 8 times because of what people said. And I was very moved. And then I was like, oh, I'm starting to see a little bit of what Hoosier Action is. So can you just tell us all about Hoosier Action, and then we'll get into more about what you do and why you do it?
Sure, I can tell you the basics.
Yes, let's hear the basics.
Hoosier Action is we're a small nonprofit. We are a 501c3 C4.
Okay.
And we're a power building organization. We're just trying to gain some independent political power among our neighborhoods. And yes, we do some statewide stuff, but we want a better Indiana for the everyday Hoosiers and not just the top 1%. So that's our entire, what we do.
Well, that matches very well with Project Next, where we want to make people's lives better and we want to unite our communities and get more people involved. So this is a great matchup here.
It is. We have several different chapters. Of course, we had the Care Not Cuffs chapter. I organize around harm reduction and reentry issues, statewide, local level. We have a Clark County Moms chapter. We have a resiliency chapter that works on environmental issues. Right now, it's actually in place, the cooling centers for the summer. Anytime it gets above 100 degrees, we have churches set up where they can go from 2 to 7 and just cool down, get a cool drink of water. We'll have snacks available, trying to get the health department to be there and just nurture whatever needs we can at that point and just get them off the street, because a lot of people die, from heat-related issues as well as cold. And then we have transparency and accountability chapter for local legislation, organizing some pastors. We do so many different things, and we've grown so much the last year. New organizer in Columbus area. We got a new pastoral organizer down here in Southern Indiana. So
you're a big organization throughout all of Indiana, and there's different little chapters.
It's mainly our 13 counties.
Okay.
Yeah, we're trying to get all over Indiana.
So you're in 13 counties. Are those spread out throughout Indiana, or are they mostly in Southern Indiana?
Mostly Southern Indiana.
Oh, okay, that's neat. And how long?
Here to Bloomington, and yeah.
Oh, okay. How long has Hoosier Action been around?
We've been around 4 years. No, 8 years. I'm sorry. It was the first Trump election.
8 years. Okay. 8 years. That's
so great. I've been involved about 4 years on a voluntary basis for a lot of it, and then now I'm full time.
That's amazing. I'm so glad to hear that there are like paid positions where you do this full time, because I'm sure you can do a lot more than just when you have free time and work in another job. Yeah. So okay. So it's 13 counties, mostly Southern Indiana, and you're wanting to grow. So if you are listening and you're you might look and see where Hoosier Action is involved in Indiana. Is there a website, Hoosier Action website?
HoosierAction.com.org. Yes. And
HoosierAction.org.
yeah. And
Okay.
we're on Facebook as well. So
Okay.
you can find us.
I follow you on Facebook, and yeah, are you anywhere else? Are you on Instagram or anything else?
No. And we're trying to utilize more social media. So,
Okay. Yeah, so Facebook, that's a good one. And then you have a website, HoosierAction.org.
mhm.
How did you plan? Like, were you in part of the planning of this big event that I went to in the fall? Like,
Yeah.
how did that happen?
Raising awareness. We wanted to host a town hall and we had our two of the gubernatorial candidates there. And we
Right.
also had some of our legislators that we work with. Garcia Wilburn spoke up on the test strips bill, and then we had Jennifer Meltzer there.
Was Wendy Dant-Chesser there?
Wendy Dant-Chesser was there. Ed Clare was there.
Yep. Wendy Dant-Chesser is going to be on Project Next, I think, in 2 weeks. And
Oh,
she's going to
cool.
talk. We're going to do a mental health, our mental fitness show. And she's going to talk what it was like being at the State House.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
And
she's great.
yeah, she's a friend of mine, so I'm really excited to have her on. So yeah, she was there. I know she was asked a question, I think, and she spoke. And then you had all these different people, like you had someone speak about addiction. You had someone speak about education and why we shouldn't like constantly defund public education in
Right.
Indiana, and the reason why having it be giving money to charter and private, those schools can say no to children. And so
Right.
there was a mother there who had her kid had been kicked out of a private school, and it was devastating for her kid and hurt her mental health. And so anyway, I was like tearing up. There was a woman that had survived addiction and talked about the needs that people struggling with that face. And then it also, like at Hoosier Action, you all did a really good job of laying out the legislation that you would hope would get passed, and also some legislation that would harm people.
Yeah.
And so you were kind of pushing for, let's make legislation that helps Hoosiers. I'm going to go ahead and say I personally am disappointed at the State House and what everything came out of it. I don't fully understand what everything that came out of it and what's going to be law, which usually happens in July. But we're having Kelly DeLong on from Mad Voters tomorrow on the show, and she's going to tell us what laws were passed. But do you feel like, because of what is happening at the State House and at the local level, most Hoosiers are not being heard, especially those that are very vulnerable and need help?
No, they are not being heard. That's why we exist.
Right.
And that's how I got involved is, I worked in the recovery world for many years, seen a lot of gaps in the treatment and just a lot of gaps. And I was looking for some way to fill those gaps. And we started, in little ways at Sunrise, getting like transgender in the door and starting to get people furloughed from jail and into treatment instead of behind bars. And then I met Hoosier Action and found my voice, found a place where I could use my voice and actually put it into some action.
Right. So you found Sunrise Recovery. Is that what you're talking about? Is it what's it called?
Well, I started my recovery work history at the Healing Place over in Louisville.
Oh, okay.
And then moved over to Indiana to Sunrise Recovery. Yeah, it's a 30-day inpatient here at Clarksville. Jeffersonville has an IOP, and then they're getting ready to open another one in Lafayette now.
Oh, that's nice. I met them at a Clark County. There's like a big festival, Sellersburg Celebrates.
Yeah.
I met them there.
Yeah.
That was really nice. I met people whose lives had been saved from that organization.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really incredible.
Yeah, I'm still very involved in the alumni stuff. And
nice. Well, thanks for doing that.
Still kind of home for me.
Right. So just meeting you, we haven't met in person, but we've just talked in text a lot. You seem to be very empathetic for those that are suffering the most.
Mm-hmm.
And you seem to kind of be like, well, why don't we have better laws? Why don't we have better government systems helping our most vulnerable?
Right.
And then you're like, oh, I got to go to an organization that cares about this. And then Hoosier Action doesn't just care about the people, but it seems like they also try to push our legislators to be better. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have to hold them accountable. And I didn't think about this either at the time. They work for us. We don't work for them. We voted for them. So yeah, we try to hold them accountable. We make several trips up to the state house during the session.
And do people listen to you? Do
Yes,
they let you come in, and has that helped any?
it has. We've done some good work this year. Hoosier Action on a whole. We've done a lot to stop some of the Medicaid cuts. Yeah, Tracy, one of our organizers, has done a lot right around the Medicaid and all those cuts.
Please thank Tracy for me. I
Yes,
appreciate that.
man. When we all work hard on that when it comes up, some of them zombie bills pop back up, like the anti-squatters bill, the anti-homeless bill.
So they tried several times, our Indiana state legislators, to pass a bill that made it illegal to be homeless. Is that correct? But
That's correct.
and then people made a fuss, including Hoosier Actions, and then they took it away. And then right at the last minute, they tried to do it again.
Yeah, tagged it onto another bill.
Yeah.
Which is, that's common.
So Mad Voters, Hoosier Action, all these groups, you all have to pay attention so carefully to what's happening at the state legislation, which just ended in Indiana, because if you don't, they do more damage, right? Sneaky things that passed that really hurt.
And we have what's called a hit team. We have most of them are older retired gentlemen, super smart, and they do a lot of research work for us.
That's nice.
Want to dive into those bills and what's this really saying? So, and they do a lot of good research work for us.
That's what I am not good at. That's why I am much better at having my own media company, because I can have people on and they can teach me, but I don't have the attention to go and find like a boring document and read like 30 pages of it and understand it, and I also don't have the attention to live stream the Indiana legislative sessions and to listen. And I know that there are multiple people across the state that do that and send out an alarm. They're trying to make homelessness illegal again, and then send out the alarm. And then we all say, wait, contact your state senator, your state House of Representative member, and let them know not to do this. And then hopefully they take it down. I cannot wait for the day. I'm cautiously optimistic that it's going to happen, where we elect people that actually want to help the majority of Hoosiers instead of pass laws that hurt those that are suffering the most, because that's what I feel like is happening.
We're trying to get Indiana there.
Right.
It's a lot of work. So yeah, we don't endorse candidates at all.
Mm-hmm.
We want to get to a place where we can back some candidates and get the right guys or women in there.
It's a tricky situation, because once you do, then you get the other side stops listening to you. So I understand why you take that approach, and I think it's wise. So
but we build relationships with the ones that are in office right now, and get a feel for them. We have some that are accountable to us and love the work we're doing.
Yeah, Ed Clear came. He's the Republican state house rep, just below me in the Floyd County area. The person I ran up against, Karen Engelman, did not attend. I did. I didn't get to speak because I'm just a candidate at the time. So I hadn't won a race. So I was disappointed that Karen Engelman wasn't there. I know that she votes for a lot of stuff that ends up hurting Hoosiers. And I kind of want to just talk to her in person and be nice to her. I'm not going to yell at her, but I just want to hear what she thinks she's doing, and have like an honest, open conversation.
I can probably speak that we sat down with Karen Engelman.
Did you?
Yeah. After she voted for the anti-squatters bill. And she just wanted to keep the conversation going. Because it is a problem. There is something that needs to happen. Our unsheltered, our unhoused people, New Albany has a real problem. As I can't imagine what Indianapolis and other, Fort Wayne, bigger cities are like.
I agree. I think it's a problem. I also don't think they should be arrested, but I agree it's a problem. I feel like our local governments are ignoring homelessness. I know I've seen some posts from Exit Zero, which is another organization that helps with our homeless down in Southern Indiana, down close to me. I saw some posts that said, for example, the New Albany mayor really ignored homelessness in the budget for the next year or so. And just didn't do anything to help the problem, just like kind of ignoring that homelessness is an issue in New Albany. Well, we have homeless people in New Albany.
We do.
I think some of the budget should go towards having a safe place for them to go, getting them set up with nonprofits or government entities and getting them someplace safe and helping them have a new start in life. That's what I would like to see. What would you like to see?
I would like to see, Kentucky put has had to do a lot of damage control because they've criminalized homelessness.
Did they? I
Yeah.
didn't know that. That's sad.
Salvation Army, put up a little camp next to their building over in Louisville, set up these little mini pods that it's little single family dwellings. And so they're not out on the street. Dan Caudell from Caudell Seed bought some property over there, and he's putting up some homes.
Wow.
For the homeless population. So why don't we get that stuff in place now so we don't have to do damage control later? Because this bill is going to come back up next session. It's
not going to solve anything, because from what I hear, most of the jails in Southern Indiana are full.
They are.
And they're full of criminals, like people that legit did something wrong. I don't know how filling up already full jail cells with people that are homeless is going to solve anything. It's just going to make the problem so you don't see it maybe as much, but it's not going to like fix the actual issues.
No. The idea from Cicero is that it will encourage people to seek some kind of shelter. It's not going to help. It's going to set them back. They're going to have to do 6 months in jail or $500 fine. And I'm going to push back a little bit on we only lock up criminals.
Go for it. Yeah.
Because I think there's people that deserve to be in jail, and then there's people in jail that society's just mad at.
Yep.
And it's the people that society's mad at, the people with substance use disorder. They're somehow kind of justice impacted. It don't work. We lost the war on drugs. I hate,
there is a lot of people struggling with addiction in Southern Indiana. It's definitely hit Harrison County hard, where I live. It's really sad. So I do agree with you. Do you know Dan Cannon?
I don't.
He is a civil rights lawyer that lives in Southern Indiana, and he wrote a book called Pleading Out. And it was a hard book for me to read because I normally read fun books, but I read it and I learned so much. And it's basically saying that like anywhere from like 97 to 98% of trials don't happen. The people get pleaded. They take a plea bargain. And in the beginning of the book, he says, I know we don't want to talk about it, but he says, America has social classes where we treat people better if they have a lot of money, and we treat people a lot worse if they are struggling financially. And he explained with all this data, with all these facts, that the people in prison are mostly people that struggle financially. And it seems to be true. I am middle class, probably upper middle class now because of my genius husband. I don't have that fear of being arrested that I feel like some of the people in Harrison County that work multiple jobs that are one bad paycheck away from being homeless that they have. It doesn't seem equal.
Oh, it's not. No, it's not by far.
Right.
And so we're just trying to level the playing field, and we will eventually. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
It takes time.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Now people are watching.
Yeah, Hoosier Action, what you're doing is a wonderful thing. I'm so thankful for you and all of the people doing this hard work at Hoosier Action. The fact that you're on this show right now and we're working together, the fact that before the show started, we were organizing and talking of maybe ways we can help each other more. This is how we do this.
This is, community.
Community. The biggest thing, the first thing that I see that is a struggle for the community to get involved in something like this is fear. In my opinion, there's a lot of stigma around addiction, around drugs, around just culturally, there's a lot of negative stigma. Would you mind sharing your own personal story with us, whatever you feel comfortable with? Because I think that might help lessen the stigma that people have with drug addiction?
Okay. So I grew up middle class. I had a good family. I come from good stock. I wanted for very little and had everything we needed. My dad was an over-the-road truck driver, but I was introduced to alcohol at an early age, and I tell this in my story all the time. I was kind of a weird kid. I was shy and backward, so
No.
that alcohol kind of fueled that. It made me
Mm-hmm.
a different person. So
Mm-hmm. It
um,
takes away your fear of
that's way my
social
fear.
interactions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and that it wouldn't take long to move into where the alcohol wasn't working anymore. And I was moving into harder drugs. And, really destroyed everything around me at that point. Destroyed my family. My mom and dad didn't want me around. Of course, I was going through all the criminal charges and all that.
Oh, so sorry.
Yeah, well, it made me the person I am today. So I'm kind of grateful for it.
Yeah.
And then finally wound up in prison for the first time at 42 years old. And there was fear. I knew I didn't want to go back. So, and that was kind of my drive to change my life. And it would take some time, but I did. I wound up going to the Salvation Army ARC up in Indianapolis, and God bless that place. It's a 6 to 9 month program, and I stayed there for 18 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I've heard that programs that are longer help better.
It
Help
does.
people. It ups the chances that the person can actually fully recover.
Yeah, 30 days is not near long enough. That's
Um,
it's an extended detox is really all that is.
Yeah, Jason Kerberg was on the show last week. He's a Republican cop running for sheriff in Floyd County, and he said the exact same thing to me. He
Yep.
said those 28-day programs are not long enough. And I mentioned the house of the Genesis house that we
Yes.
have in Corden in Harrison County. It helps women coming out of jail that are addicts. It helps them recover. It helps them get
Right.
their life back on track. It helps them find a job. It's like around 1.5 years,
Yeah.
I think.
It's
And I have personal friends that have come out of there, and I love them dearly. And I'm just so thankful for that program.
and see, it's a structured long-term program. Like you
Uh-huh.
said, 18 months, but she don't cut them off at 18 months. They can have their kid there. They can move into the 3-quarter house. They don't move on with their lives until they have so much in savings. They know how to cook a meal. They know how to basically live life. Because some of us didn't know how to do that. We spent our life, not myself. I had a pretty good life, but a lot of they don't know how to do those things.
Right.
So if you don't know, you don't know. So, and we have that one in Harrison County, and we have Breakaway here in New Albany that are
nice.
structured houses. Bliss House in Jeffersonville, which is a structured house, longer term. We just don't have much for males.
Oh.
We don't have any kind of structured housing for males. You got House of New Beginnings in Corden, and then Freed from Within in Corden.
I've heard that there are plans to try to get some. Is that correct?
There's plans. Yeah.
I know needs money, right?
Yeah. I know Recovery Complex is doing a lot there at Serenity House. Oh yeah, there's people working all the time trying to get something established. Besides like a 3-quarter type Oxford house, we need something besides that for them to go to.
Let's say that there's a man in Southern Indiana that's watching this, and they are realizing they struggle with some form of addiction. Maybe it's alcohol, maybe it's drugs, maybe it's whatever it is. They're realizing it's a problem and they don't know where to go for help. Where would you tell them to go if they lived around here?
Sunrise is always my go-to because I love
Sunrise
it.
Recovery. They're on.
Yeah, they're on page. Most places you have to have insurance to go to.
Oh.
If there is somebody's non-insured, there's not much. It'd be like Salvation Army in Indianapolis.
So you're saying as long as the person has insurance, they can go to Sunrise Recovery and enter a rehab program. And is that what you're saying?
Yes.
But if they don't have insurance, they should contact the Salvation Army.
Salvation Army or the Healing Place. I know, and Turning Point, I believe, will get you set up with a presumptive Medicaid.
Turning Point
in Jeffersonville. Yeah, it's a Life Springs program.
Oh, I've heard of Life Springs. Okay. Yeah, it's heartening to me to hear of there are places where people can go now. It could be better. I feel like culturally we just have such a stigma. and that's why people hide it.
Yeah.
And so it
And
probably makes it harder for people to come forward and admit they have a problem because of the stigma.
yeah.
So I think when you're able to say, I had a problem with alcohol and I actually had to go to a place and get help, um, I think that's very brave of you, and I think it helps lessen the
Yeah.
fear.
And it does. And it was, I can put myself in their place. I sat in those jail cells and, I was that gutter junkie, basically. And yes, Care Not Cuffs chapter, we try really hard not to speak about ourselves like that anymore. Like
Yeah, I like that.
in the rooms, yes, we identify how we're required, but outside of the rooms and with my chapter, in fact, it's in some of our the axioms we read.
I love that.
We're not going to talk about ourselves like that anymore.
I love that. I try to
I'm
do
much
that for
more
me.
than an addict or a convict.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I think one of the reasons people stay in their bad, unhealthy positions is because of the guilt and the shame that they carry.
oh, it,
And
yeah,
and it's so painful to be like, I'm sorry, I messed up, and then to realize that's okay, you're allowed to mess up. Like, let that go. We're
yeah,
just so grateful you're with us today and you're trying to do better. And like, I know the road to recovery isn't always easy. It isn't always you just stop and you never mess up. Sometimes there's mistakes made. And if we can be, like you're saying, give ourselves grace and forgiveness and be kinder in our mind, be kinder in our thoughts about ourselves. You're so right. That is very important. I'll meet men in particular that haven't been raised in a very open and honest way. So they keep their feelings stuffed
mhm,
down. And once I get to know them, I realize, oh, their thoughts about themselves are not kind. Like they don't think great thoughts. And that might be some of the reason why they say judgmental or hurtful things to others, because I don't think they're being kind to themselves. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
I do, and that's why here I am. I did that for many years. I didn't think very kind about myself, and thank God for the 12 Steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, where I could actually take a look at that.
Yeah.
When people suffer from a disease like cancer or kidney disease, diabetes, whatever, your best hope is to go back to as healthy as you were before. Uh, us, on the other hand, when we're going through substance use disorder, alcoholism, and do the 12 steps or some kind of recovery program, we get better than we were before.
That's nice.
We become people we don't even recognize or know.
Yeah.
So,
I bet you're a completely different person than the
completely.
other version. But you wouldn't have gotten to this amazing version if you hadn't had that hard
No,
stuff.
no. The other Tony you wouldn't have on your show, I promise.
Yeah, I get asked a lot why I'm so driven to do what I do, and I have a lot of reasons. There's like 10 crazy things that were really hard that I went through and survived that helped push me who I am today. It's a complex reason, and I see that with you too. You've had really hard things that you've been able to survive, and you're just so mentally fit now. It's really wonderful talking to you.
For the
Um,
most part.
Yeah, me too. I'm still growing too. Yeah. Yeah. I really like the podcast Armchair Expert with Dax Shepard. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, Dax is
And
cool. Yeah,
yeah, he's a former
yeah,
addict.
yeah,
And he really dives deep into what recovery was like for him. And it's just made him very empathetic. Like nobody comes on the show and says about something terrible they did. And has he ever been judgmental?
right.
And I get that from you. Just
Oh
for
yeah.
the few minutes we're talking, you're not judging people.
No, everybody deserves a better life. I
Yes.
don't care, and yes, I'm going to get some pushback for that. I don't care if you have sex crimes in your history. I don't care.
Me neither.
You deserve to be free from the addiction. Plain and simple.
People are so judgmental. They're so hard on our neighbors that we don't know what their life was like. We
No,
don't know what their childhood was like. We don't know if they have some sort of trauma or PTSD or something that they've stuffed down really far in some horrible thing that happened to them and they don't want to think about it. So they're drinking or they're doing some type of drugs or they're doing something to escape it. We also are very judgmental to people that are like sex workers. And I'm just like, if you're going to die because you have no money or no safe place to live, wouldn't you do anything you could to survive? I'm just not judgmental about it, even though I was raised culturally, oh, we should. Like I used to be judgmental. I'm not anymore. And I think people just don't want to think about it.
I
You know what I
didn't,
mean?
yeah. Because believe me, my moral standard was dropping steadily when I was in that madness. Who knows what I would have done if I'd have been led to, you know?
And
Uh,
so your ability to forgive yourself has made it so you can so easily just care about people that are hurting themselves or other you have that compassion and that willingness to forgive them and to help them.
oh, absolutely, yeah.
If more people could get to that place, don't you think Indiana would be in a better spot than it is right now?
It would definitely be in a better spot. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to raise that awareness. We're not bad people. Yes, we were criminals, what the society called us for a while, but we were just sick. We were just trying to feed our disease and staying in that survival mode at all times.
Now, when you were incarcerated, were you getting any type of help for your addiction in there?
No,
It's interesting.
I couldn't
I
even
know
find the big book.
you couldn't what?
I couldn't even find the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous in there.
So doesn't seem like locking up people with addiction problems is the best solution.
It's not. We got other methods that work better. We're
What
gathering data now.
can you explain what works better?
Treatment. Get them out of jail and somewhere safe where they can focus on this and not be in survival mode.
So it's still a sort of program where they're off the streets. They're not harming anybody else. They're also not harming themselves, but it's a rehab type place instead of just a jail cell where they don't care about you.
Right. And there
Yeah.
is recovery pods in some of the county jails, and they do recovery programs in the state prisons. But I know the ones in state prisons are not safe for the most part. There just needs to be a little more structure there. We need help from the government to do this.
So
There's
you
so
need
many people out
legislation passed to set up programs to help people when they're incarcerated with addiction and drugs.
Yes, because it'll eventually save the state money.
Yeah, this is the thing that I say a lot on our shows, and I don't think most people realize it. Because if you don't want to look at it through a humanitarian, empathetic way, and you're like, I don't care, they've messed up, they've made their own choices, whatever, that's fine. But if you want to look at it as a tax way, as your money, your tax money going to fund prisons and fund these things, it is cheaper for us to care about the person, get them better, get them a job, get them out there in society than it is to just throw them in jail, not help them, and then when they come out, they're screwed, who cares?
Right.
We are only as safe as the person struggling the most in our neighborhood.
Right.
And
once they go through that process, guess what they do? They go help others.
I've met so many people like you that came out from really hard experiences and now they're helping people. Yeah. Yeah, you're so right. Even if you're a millionaire or a billionaire and you live in a neighborhood that's not safe and you spend tons and tons of money protecting your child, these people still get kidnapped and stuff. Like bad things happen to them. The best way to keep your own family safe is to help your community be safe. So what you're doing with Hoosier Action, with all the things you do locally, is helping to protect all those neighbors that don't have an addiction problem.
Right. And I've said from the beginning that it's just like raising a child. It takes a village, and it's going to take the entire community to work together and end some of these issues.
Yeah, you're so right. It's such a big problem that sometimes it gets overwhelming. In Indiana, since we have a supermajority of one political party with the power, it's been very rough. And I think that's why Hoosier Action started. It's why Mad Voters started. It's why I got involved. I never planned on running for government. I planned on being a teacher the rest of my life. And so there is a lot of good popping up because things are rough in Indiana. But the thing that I struggle with is I see so many people that are like, well, we're in Indiana and there's nothing we can do. And I'm not even voting and I'm not even paying attention because it's depressing. And those are the people I hope watch our shows. I hope are following Hoosier Action, and I hope are gaining some positivity about our community, because if they start caring, that's how we do this, right?
Yes, yes, and they are, and
I agree.
I mean, I see the stuff on Facebook, and it's a hotter and hotter topic all the time, local
I
stuff.
agree.
Um, but Hoosier Action did a lot of work this year at the ledge session. Care Not Cuffs, talking about ending stigma. We hosted the first ever harm reduction day up at the State House this year.
Oh, nice.
Focused on getting the test strips decriminalized. I don't know, and I'll explain this. Fentanyl test strips, xylazine test strips are used just to test for the presence of the substance in whatever you're using, and they were deemed as contraband or paraphernalia once you dipped them in the substance. So, and what that was doing is, I know our locals were doing it. If they seen you with test strips, Narcan, anything like that, then that's a probable cause to search and seize.
But these are actual methods keeping people alive, because it's been a big problem. Fentanyl got mixed in a bunch of drugs, and people were taking a drug that they thought was safe for them, and they were dying of an overdose because of the fentanyl in it. So the fentanyl test strips would help keep the person alive. They're being used as evidence, and they're being like taught that they're illegal, and you can get arrested for having fentanyl strips. Is that what you're saying? Did that get changed, or do we still have that?
No, we got that passed this year.
Oh, so that's great. That makes me feel better. So now you can have fentanyl strips in your house and it not be counted as something illegal?
Yes. Yeah, and the governor signed that back in March.
And I've heard of this because I have a friend named Sherry Ray. Do you know her?
I do. She's one of our members.
She's coming to my house for lunch, for dinner soon. I adore her. She was saying something about narco. I don't know anything about that. Can you tell me what that is?
Narcan?
Narcan. Yeah. Can you tell me what that is?
It reverses the opioid in your system.
So if somebody is like having a drug overdose, they can be given it?
It's just an intranasal.
It's like a nose spray?
Mm-hmm, yep. Just one little short dose, 2 milligram dose that goes up. Or
how much does it cost?
Well, I know like Kroger in different places, they sell it for about, I think, $40. We get it for free through Overdose Lifeline in Indiana.
Oh, I didn't know you could get it at Kroger.
You can buy it. Yeah, but don't buy it. If you need Narcan, call me. We got
plenty. Yeah, if you need that, yes, go and get help instead of using it. But yeah, because she just saved somebody on the street. Like
I've done it. I don't know how many times out on.
You save people using that?
Oh yeah.
That's amazing. I didn't know about that product until she said it on her Facebook stories. And I was like, because luckily addiction hasn't touched my family or anybody that I'm super close to that would like tell me about it. So this is just new information to me. So that used to be seen as illegal, but now is not too?
Well, the Narcan was always legal.
It's always legal.
But it flagged for like police officers if they see Narcan and okay, they probably got something on them.
Right. Okay. So
profiling, basically.
My friend Tara just said, she says she had some with her when her brother was an addict. She got hers at the library. So that's nice that people are trying to help and save. Because think about it, if one of your loved ones was an addict and hadn't decided to try to recover yet, that sounds so scary. I know if that happened to like me and I would buy some of that and have it on hand. Yeah.
And we have, Tracy Skaggs with Project Recovery. She's got nalox boxes all over town. Those are boxes specifically, low barrier. You don't have to walk into a hospital or anything. Just open the box, get you some Narcan.
That's nice.
Because Clark County Emergency Room has a vending machine outside. I think Scott Memorial has a vending machine outside where you can just, no questions asked, go get Narcan.
So that's nice. I like that. I think that's a good thing. I also think making their lives better so that they don't want to be an addict is a good thing to go. Like, have you heard this study? I talked about it maybe with Jason. I can't remember. I think I talked about it on another show where they took rats and they put them in a cage with nothing, and they gave them water, and then they gave them a drug, and they took the drug and the drink and became addicted. And then they put rats in a big cage with food and all this stimulus, all these like fun games and things to do. And they put the drug, and the rats did not choose the drug. And I think that's a good way to look at things. People don't always use drugs because their life is going great. They turn to that because they don't want to live in their reality.
Right.
Yeah.
And we haven't even seen, the dust hadn't settled from the administration. So we're going to see an uprise in the opioid crisis. I'm predicting.
Now,
Just
why do you think there's going to be an uprise in the opioid crisis?
well, they've cut Medicaid quite a bit. I know RFK has pulled funding on Narcan now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's recent, last week, I believe, which is odd because he's a fellow addict.
Yeah, but he
And,
also has always had money, so it probably hasn't been hard for him to get into some type of recovery.
maybe not, but he's still got to deal with the addiction and the monkey on his back like the rest of us do. That don't go away overnight.
Right.
So it was surprising to have that come out of him, and it just kind of goes to show you who's really pulling the strings.
Yeah, so I agree. I think things are going to get worse before they get better. I think it's going to build more of a community of people that want to help, because sad things are going to touch more people. But I do think things are going to get better. I just don't know when. I can't pull out my magic 8 ball and say this date things are going to be better.
Right.
And I think that's why you and I are talking today. We understand things are going to get worse before they get better. So let's organize. Let's get our communities involved. Can you tell me more about your specific job? You're the lead organizer for the Care Not Cuffs chapter. Can you tell me what your job is on a daily basis?
On a daily basis, it's basically this: I sit down and talk to people, and I build relationships. That's the best way to describe what I do. I mean, yeah, of course, you got the political stuff sprinkled in there, and we do a lot of trainings, a lot of staff meetings. We do a lot of strategizing here in the office when things pop up. Meet as a team and an organization. So
You need to tell your bosses that you're doing a really good job, because you contacted me several times.
yeah.
I'm proud of you. And you can come back on multiple times. Don't
Okay.
worry.
Yeah.
Especially when you have events and things that you want promoted, especially when you have legislation that you hope to get passed.
Okay.
Project Next, we're just going to keep growing, and we'd love to have you on talking about it. But so yeah, I think you were hired for the right job, because you're very friendly. You have good social skills, and you're very brave to keep asking, so yeah, I'm proud of you. Good
Yeah,
job.
you remember the part about me being a shy, awkward kid?
Yeah, I don't see it now.
I know.
I think you've done some living.
I had God put
I
me in the position to do this. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, that was smart. Yeah, I'm going to tell you some of the frustrations I've seen. So I ran for State House in District 70. I live in Palmyra in Harrison County, and the district that I ran for is very heavily gerrymandered. So the people in power redrew the lines not very long ago after the last census,
Right.
to make District 70 even more rural than it was before. Like, I used to have Georgetown in District 70. And I think even Sellersburg used to be in District 70.
Really?
And now it's all, the only like big-ish town I have is Corden. And I have the entire of Harrison County. So there's no way they could strip Corden out, but they would have if they could have.
Wow.
And so I did my best. I got into the race late. I tried to find somebody to run, and nobody would. And so I said I'd do it. So I got in late at July. But I ran as hard as I could. I was pretty impressed with how many friends donated to my campaign, because I didn't take large corporate money or anything. And I ran against someone who I saw a couple times at events, but Karen Engelman, and she's been our state house representative since 2016, I think. And I was frustrated because I ran mostly to support public education, because our schools in Harrison County are being massively defunded, and we don't have good charter private schools to go to in this county. And when I would talk to people and explain it, they would be like, "Oh, yes, I would vote for you, since the other person votes against public education here in the county, even though she lives here." But when the election happened, I think I got 27% of the vote. And I figured I didn't have a chance because of the gerrymandering. But I have to say it hurt, because I campaigned really hard, whereas she came to just a couple events. I think it was, if it was a Farm Bureau event, she would come to those. I think those are the only times I saw her, and I saw her at a parade once. Um, and she wouldn't answer people's questions. Like a lot of people that voted for me reached out to her and asked her, "Why are you defunding public education? Why are you voting this way to hurt people?" And they just were crickets. It was just silence. So that personally is hard on me, you know?
Yes. And that's, I like Representative Ed Clare. If I had a question for Ed, I could call him up and he would answer. Or
I
he would
appreciate that about him.
I
Yeah.
do too. And
Yeah.
that's the way it should be.
Right.
You should be able to get a hold of your senator, your city leaders. And that's how we did so much important work this year, is talking to them and collaborating with some of them. And now we're collaborating already for next session. So
Yeah.
what we can do. So
Yep. I appreciate you doing that. At Project Next, our biggest thing that we did was last week we had Jason Kerberg on, and he's a Republican cop in Floyd County running for sheriff. And that was the first time a Republican candidate came on Project Next. And he was told by multiple people, don't do it, because I'm a registered Democrat. I run as a Democrat. And I kept promising him, I promise I'm not going to put you on the spot on our lives. I'm not going to be mean to you. We want the same things, because I had talked to him on the phone enough to know he cares about the community. And I was just really glad he's the cop, honestly, because I'm like, he's a good person. I really like him. And we're friends now. It was so hard to get that first Republican on Project Next. I'm hopeful that it won't be so hard when we have the second one come on. I want people on Project Next that want to help Hoosiers or help people across the country,
that's what we need.
Yes. And I think that is a big missing piece in our government. The two sides don't talk to each other enough. What do you think?
No, they don't talk to each other enough. And the public don't inform themselves. That's one of the biggest things. And that's what I see on Facebook, is there's so much bitching and griping. Go out and do something. Do something about it. Don't just sit in your house and stew about it, because you're not doing, you're just creating airspace that way.
Right.
Get involved with somebody. Don't have to be Hoosier Action. We'd love to have you, but go get involved in your community.
What do you care most about? That's kind of what I like about Hoosier Action, because you're not one thing. No. What do you care about? And you can use Hoosier Action to help you with that thing you care about.
Yes.
So that's amazing. So you care a lot about addiction, recovery, helping homelessness. Are those some of your biggest issues?
That's the biggest. Yeah.
And that's exactly what you're doing with your job, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I met with Jason right after I found out he was going to be running for sheriff. So yeah, I'm going to, maybe he will become sheriff. I want to develop a relationship with this man.
And I know he will give you time. I text somebody, Sherry, I think I've her name. Sherry gave me his number. I texted him. He called me right back, and we talked for like 30 minutes. And I was like, oh, I like this guy. Yep. So he is one of those people that will talk, but we need all of our elected officials to be people that will talk to us. Right?
Yes.
I mean, you think you're electing them to serve us, but then they get that position of power and they don't listen. The logical response would be vote somebody else in. And that's when I get frustrated, because it's very hard to do that.
There's some that, if they see me coming, or they skate, they don't want to talk to me. I'm not going to mention his name, but up in your area, they don't want anything to do with us.
Yeah. And I think just saying it publicly, we're not trying to shame or be mean to anybody. I don't want ill will to anybody, but just saying, hey, this person in this political power, this office, I've reached out to them. They are ignoring me. I think just saying it publicly in a nice way is one of the best things we can do. Yeah. Because other people need to know. Like, before I got involved in politics, I just assumed the people we elected were trying to help us.
Yes, me too.
I know differently now.
That is so not true.
It's so not true. And it's hard. And I think that's why so many people don't get involved, is because once they see that, they lose hope. But look, Hoosier Action, Project Next, Mad Voters, Exit Zero, all these places, all these Sunrise Recovery, all these places are popping up to fill in the needs that we're not getting from
Yes.
our government elected officials. Work with them, put pressure on the elected officials, vote for better ones. This is how we do it, right?
How we do it. Yeah.
This is how we do it. Yeah. Um, oh man.
And
Yeah.
that's how we, hey, and that's going in meeting with an elected official. This is what I stand for. Are you in alignment with any of that? And can you work with us? Plain and simple. If no, okay, we'll find somebody else. We'll find your replacement. So
yeah. One of my friends on here, Bobby Baker, he is a veteran, and he asked about what type of services could Hoosier Action do for veterans. Do you have any? I would imagine all of the things that Hoosier Action does would help veterans, but do you want to answer that?
I don't specifically do anything with veterans, but it has come up here recently because I do have a vet that's a member of mine. Actually, a couple vets that are members.
So is that a need Hoosier Action could maybe fill if they had more volunteers? There could be
Oh
a
yeah,
chapter that's on
yes,
veteran issues. So if
absolutely.
there's anybody that really cares about veterans and would like to start something, get a hold of Tony. Tony will connect you with other people. You're on Facebook, right? I think people
I'm on
can just
Facebook. Tony Wayne Hostetler. Yeah.
yeah. So if anybody wants to help, that's the thing. There's more need than there are volunteers. That's why
There
all
is.
these great organizations are always asking for more people. That's one thing I love to use Project Next platform for, is to say, if you're listening to this and this is something you care about, here's a group you can, instead of being hopeless in your house and feeling defeated, get up and do something. I think we both agree there's nothing better than helping people,
No,
right?
no.
It's the best feeling.
It's frustrating sometimes because people are people and they're tough to deal with sometimes. But yes, it's very rewarding. Yeah. And we do have, what was his name? Bobby
Yes.
Baker. There is a really good veterans court program in place. It's here in Floyd County, but she does, Scott County, Floyd County, Clark County.
Oh, I think Bobby's in Harrison County. I think he's in mine.
Okay. Yeah. But I don't know if they don't do Harrison County, but it's really effective long term. It's a
And what's it called?
It's Veterans Court.
Veterans
Yeah,
Court.
Judge Maria Granger. Yes.
Oh, she's my friend. I taught her son. I love
In fact,
her.
problem solving court breakfast is tomorrow morning.
Oh wow.
So I think you need to get reserved on there. But
how would you find that?
I believe it's on Clark County Cares website.
Clark County Cares website. You know, so many organizations that help people. I've only heard a fraction of these, so I'm very impressed, Tony, and it makes me feel better. Is it Casey Luttrell? Do you know her?
I do, yeah, Cassie.
Cassie said that she lost her brother to alcoholism, and I just want to give you a virtual hug, Cassie. Sorry, I can't even imagine. I have a brother I'm very close to, and he's dealing with his own health issues right now, and it's been hard enough, and I'm just so sorry.
And unfortunately, everybody suffers when somebody's going through that. We think we're just harming ourselves, but we destroy everybody around.
People that you love, and you push them away a lot. You try to, and yeah, it's such a painful, I don't know whether you call it disease, but it affects so many people. Do you know Susanna Lee Jacobson?
Oh yeah, of course.
She's coming over to my house too soon. She has that nonprofit. Do you know what the profit's called? Is it Tefler?
No,
family?
it's
Careth Family Recovery. And she's a beautiful person. And they have a nonprofit where they put on a camp in the summer for kids that are affected by addiction and incarceration.
Mm-hmm.
And they do a lot of therapy with the arts, like music, painting, arts and crafts, and then like theater, because they found that doing those creative things in the brain opens up the trauma, and it helps kids process what they've had in their life. And I just think that's really beautiful.
And if we can reroute them, then they may not have to live the lives some of us have.
So if you can help these kids now, set them up in good programs, then the chances of them being good quality community members that aren't suffering It makes our community safer. And I think that's probably the biggest message for today for everybody to realize. You can't put blinders on to the problems. I know they're sad, and I know feeling sad is hard, but we have to feel sad. We have to, look at the real problem and then actually make solutions to the problem. And I am tired of governments ignoring the problem of homelessness, ignoring the problems of addiction, especially when it's hurting the people that are struggling the most.
Yes. Because all the work everybody's doing, Exit Zero, I mean, don't get me, I love what they're doing. Exit Zero and Project Recovery and all kinds of folks feeding and making sure they have tents and all. It's just a Band-Aid. We're just putting Band-Aids on.
You're just putting Band-Aids on something that, like, imagine there's a leak in your plumbing and you're putting a tiny Band-Aid on it and then it leaks more and you're putting another Band-Aid on it. It's like, no, let's actually fix the plumbing.
Yeah.
Let's fix the plumbing. It costs more at the beginning and then it costs less later.
Yes, it'll cost much less later.
Yeah. Yes. I'm frustrated because some of the elected officials in power don't seem to understand that. What we have been talking about, I think a lot of these people don't understand. And I think they take a very judgmental stance on these people have messed up and they don't deserve help. And that's the problem I have. I want to elect people that give a crap about the people they're supposed to serve.
Me too. Because there's a lot of these people out there kicking butt in their communities and doing a lot of good work for a lot of people.
I find people that have messed up and have said sorry and have been humbled. Those are my favorite people. Because I also know people that don't admit their own mistakes.
Right.
And they don't say sorry, and then they don't grow. And they kind of take a path where they're a little bit the victim. You know what I mean? They're the victim. Everybody's hurting them. They do no wrong. They can't take any accountability. I feel like some of those people are in our government.
You think? And, and I met with, they call themselves Christians too.
Oh, you're so right.
And that I stated that from the platform up at the Harm Reduction Day. I told them it offends me as a Christian that you don't live that lifestyle.
But they say it.
Yes,
they say it, but they don't walk it.
No.
Yeah. And I'm even hearing the Christians in power now in Indiana that I would call Christian nationalists. I'm even hearing them say things that are so not true with how the majority of us see Christianity, like take care of your family first and who cares about those people? I'm like, what? That's not, no. Yeah. So that seems to be a big trend that I kind of take offense at.
Yes, me too. And like you said, it's people with a lot of money. I don't know. It does make a difference. It puts us in so many different containers. They want to separate us however they can.
I see a lot of people in their money bubble want to stay in that money bubble. They don't want their kids to see kids suffering. They don't want their kids to see addiction or anything. And they try to just don't look at it. But it affects them too.
It does. These are real people.
And I imagine it hurts their children because they're not educated about it. They're just shielded from it, but it's out there. It's everywhere. You cannot be with your kid 24/7. So I think it's better to educate and be empathetic and also forgiving, because if you walk around being judgmental about, let's say, an alcoholic or a drug addict, if you walk around and in front of your kid, you're being all judgmental. What if your kid becomes an addict? They don't feel safe to tell you and ask for help because you've been so judgmental to everybody else.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's harmful in many, many ways, just having that stigma, period. So we're going to do our part in our little container to change that.
Yeah.
And
I'm really
gain some momentum along the way.
I'm so thankful you joined. I really hope it's not the last time. You have an open invitation to come on our shows. So just know that. Use my cell number. I'm really thankful to all the people that left comments. Shuri Ray's on here. She's messaging. I'm going to meet her soon. I'd like to have her on the show. So I want to see if she wants to come on. All these people, Cassie, did I say it right? Cassie? All these people that are doing this good work. I cannot thank you enough. Thank you.
And that's my membership. That's my membership.
Thank you. I'm glad you get paid to do this work. That's
Me
fantastic.
too.
This is your full-time job and you're doing a good job. So
Thank
you
you.
let your bosses know I said that. You're
I
doing
will.
great. Yeah, everybody please check out Hoosier Action. They're on Facebook and they have a website, hoosieraction.org. I really wanted people to feel not hopeless. I wanted you to have hope with this episode. I feel better. You told me like 20 different organizations I didn't know about. So I'm definitely going to be texting you asking
Oh,
for
and
some
there's
of these
more out there.
so they
Yeah.
could come on the show. Don't lose hope, you all. If you're in Indiana, if you're in another state where your elected officials are not listening to you, don't lose hope. Instead, the issue you care most about, find other people that care about it and get involved and start demanding better.
And we're going to do a little bit of that upcoming. We're
Okay, and
launching
you talk about that?
we're launching a campaign. Well, we've already launched it. It's called Neighbor to Neighbor, but we're going to launch another part of it Saturday. That's called Knock Your Block. We
Oh,
we are just simply going to go around and knock on our neighbors' doors and get to know our neighbors again. Of course, we're going to ask those questions. Hey, what do you think needs to change? What are you worried about in your neighborhood? Do you have safe shelter if a storm comes through? And we're just going to get to know our neighbors and hopefully build some base out of that.
and are most people pretty happy to hear from you when you knock on their doors?
Usually, yes. You
Yeah,
run
so
into a
knock your
few.
block. Okay,
Yeah,
so knock your block. Could anybody help with that if they wanted to?
they could. Yeah, it's a little too late to get involved now, but there's so many facets to this. Um, yes, but we so many things we have in plan.
So I ran for county council, and then 2 years later, I ran for state house, and I door knocked both of those times. And I also met thousands of people at like events, like Harvest Homecoming and stuff.
Right.
And that is one of the hardest things I had to do, and one of the best things. It's hard. It like I would be really tired mentally after, but I would meet so many amazing people, and I door knocked my neighborhood for county council and discovered that 2 blocks away from me, my son's friend lived there and he had just moved in, but they weren't riding the same bus, so they didn't know their neighbors. They're best friends now. And and I didn't win county council, but I did get my kid a best friend that comes over a lot, and I'm friends with his mom. You
And
know
that
what I mean? Just door knocking your neighbors, even if you don't work for Hoosier Action, just to say, hey, I'm this person, I'm Sarah Blessing, and I'm your neighbor. Is there anything you need? I just wanted to get to know you. I have
yeah,
kids. It's such a good idea.
and safe from storms or whatever. We seen these little like Charlestown, Scottsburg. They had places set up for when the power goes out, and you can go to a
Oh,
church and get
that's
help.
great.
Jeffersonville, New Albany, I didn't see that.
I don't think
So
we have anything like that here. We have a center in Palmyra. I think we could use it more if we set up something like that. I would like us to do that. Yes, that's such a beautiful thing. Have a place when it's too hot, have a
yeah,
place when it's too cold, have a place when your electricity is out. We had severe flooding here. Remember when we got
yeah,
all that rain?
yeah,
Palmyra has water issues because we have caves and all this underground water that when it gets filled up, it comes up.
yes, yeah,
And there were people that were asked to leave their homes and they had no place to go.
right. And
Yeah.
that's what do you have a spare room, or do you have room in your deep freeze for when the power goes out do you have medication needs, or are you a shut-in that might need a
Yeah.
trip?
Some people got flooded in from their roads.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
Yeah. They're
don't know
just,
because we don't know our neighbors anymore.
yeah. We got flooded out for the day. And my husband walked down to our neighbors and asked, and they did need some help. And we did help them. And,
Yeah.
and we didn't think of that until at the last minute. We're like, oh, we should check on our neighbors. I'm so glad we did. Just doing that. If you're listening, do you know who your neighbors are? You know? Yeah. And I say this all the time. My neighbor across the street, I love so much. I have the best neighbors in the world. Votes completely different from me.
That's
Love
okay.
him. I love him so much. It is okay.
Yeah. We can agree to disagree on things and still be friends. Yeah.
But some of my friends, they post stuff that are like, if you voted against my rights, we can never be friends. I'm like, I don't even know if they know they voted against your rights. Maybe just talk to them first before you disown them.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can end. I feel like I could talk to you all day, even with our fun half an hour tech problem we had already. I hope you come on again, and yeah, connect me with some of your people. Let's get them
Oh, I
on the
will.
show.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Follow Hoosier Action.
Hoosier
Please
Action.
share this episode. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share us on Facebook. That helps so, so much. And invite your friends to
Yes.
follow Project Next. Go to the Project Next Facebook page at the top, and next to where it says message, hit the three dots, click invite your friends. That helps a ton. And then subscribing on YouTube. Those are the two ways you can help the most. Yeah,
And
yeah.
Sarah, thank you so much for what you do as
I
well.
can't wait till we meet in person. I would like to be your friend. You just seem
I
just like
actually
such a
seen you at the gala for that suit. Yeah, I didn't
oh
know who you
the
were at the time.
I did too because I didn't know that was you. That's so funny. I met Jason there in
You
person
did,
for the
yeah. I
first
seen
time.
Jason. Yep.
That's so funny.
Oh,
Well, so yeah, good people go to that event.
yeah.
Susanna let me borrow the dress I wore. It was
Okay.
hers.
Yeah.
She invited me the day before and she gave me a free ticket. And I had so much fun and I got to wear that outfit. I'm like, this is
She's so
amazing.
much fun. I've known that family for years. They're
Oh,
brilliant.
I love her so much. I met her at Harvest Homecoming. She came up
Yeah.
to me dressed like a fairy with
Yeah.
fairy ears.
We go back to they know part of the old Tony. So
Oh, that is amazing.
yeah.
Oh, you got to have a love for that family
Yep.
when they cared about you when you were going through your hardest times, right?
That's when we first met through an REC event. So
That's really beautiful.
yeah.
That is really, really beautiful. Thanks for saying that. Okay, everybody. So have a fantastic rest of your day. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., giant Mad Voters episode with Kelly DeLong. Kelly is going to tell me what things passed at the State House. It has been a lot to figure out. Like it's just hundreds and hundreds of pages of laws, and she's going to help tell us the most important ones, what new changes are coming to Indiana. So that's tomorrow at 10. You can also catch it after the live. Thank you for everybody that watched live, and thank you for everybody that's watched after.
Thanks, everybody.
And we'll see you soon. Thanks, Sody.
Mhm.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.